Welcome back to Daily Decode, the channel where we dig beneath the surface to uncover the shocking truths, the jaw-dropping twists, and the stories they never want you to hear. If you're tired of watered-down media and want to know what's really going on behind the scenes, you've just landed in the right place. Let's get into today's explosive story. America just witnessed a political earthquake, one so unexpected, so unfiltered, and so raw that it left commentators speechless, supporters stunned, and even Donald Trump himself absolutely livid. We're talking about Representative Jasmine Crockett, the rising Democratic firebrand from Texas, who just set off a political bombshell live on national television, not behind closed doors. Not from a press release, but raw and unfiltered, straight to the camera, with millions watching. What she revealed has sent shockwaves through Washington, the MAGA movement, and Mar-a-Lago. And folks, it wasn't just another spicy soundbite. This was something bigger, something Trump couldn't brush off, deflect, or meme away. What she exposed may just reshape the narrative for 2025. It started as a routine segment. Jasmine Crockett was invited onto a Sunday morning political roundtable. You know, the kind glossy sets, carefully curated talking points, and the usual back and forth between Democrats and Republicans. The segment was supposed to be about policy, budget debates, another day of political theater, but Crockett had other plans. She didn't come to play safe. She didn't come to defend the status quo. She came with receipts, and as the cameras rolled, she launched into what can only be described as a political takedown of the Trump dynasty, so sharp, so precise, and so devastating that it has become the most replayed political clip of the week. With icy calm, she began dissecting Trump's claims about the economy, but then she pivoted suddenly and strategically to something far more incendiary. She brought up the alleged backdoor deals, shady campaign donations, and the barely hidden trail of money tied to foreign influence and questionable shell companies. She named names. She called out specific LLCs, and she exposed what she called the double standard of justice when it comes to how Trump and his allies have been able to duck legal accountability. You could see the panel shift. The moderator tried to redirect. Other guests looked stunned, but Crockett wasn't done. She dropped the phrase that now has MAGA world fuming. If any Democrat had done even a fraction of what Trump has done financially, they'd be in handcuffs. But he gets to fly to rallies and sell Bibles. That one line sent the internet into a frenzy. But she wasn't just making accusations, she was backing them up with documents and dates. Crockett cited ongoing investigations in Georgia and New York, and then drew attention to a recently leaked memo that suggests certain Trump PACs may have funneled donor money into legal defense accounts, without donors ever knowing. That memo, according to Crockett, is already in the hands of a House ethics team and could potentially trigger further hearings. And then came the kicker. The moment that had every political analyst texting each other in real time. Crockett looked directly into the camera and said, "Donald Trump knows he's not untouchable. That's why he's panicking. That's why he's lashing out. And that's why his team is already preparing for a legal meltdown after the election." It didn't take long for Trump to respond. Within hours he took two truths, personal megaphone to rage against the clip. But this time, it wasn't just another caps-locked rant. This one had venom. Trump called Crockett a third-rate fraud, accused her of lying under oath, and even demanded an immediate investigation into her abuse of congressional privilege. His allies followed suit. Laura Ingraham called Crockett a Democrat kamikaze. Steve Bannon dedicated an entire segment on War Room to tearing her down, and even Marjorie Taylor Greene accused her of working for the deep state. But none of them addressed the substance. None of them refuted the memo. None of them explained the dark money trail she laid out. Because maybe, just maybe, it's true. The story doesn't end with a single clip. What happened next was even more bizarre. Behind the scenes, insiders say Trump had a total meltdown. According to leaked messages from a close campaign aide, Trump reportedly smashed a glass at Mar-a-Lago after watching the clip on replay. He began yelling at his inner circle, demanding why no one had neutralized Crockett earlier. The word neutralized raised eyebrows, especially since it was included in the leak to begin with. Political operatives aren't supposed to use language like that. It implies fear. It implies threat. It implies desperation. The leak also revealed something else. Trump is worried that Crockett is just the tip of the iceberg. He believes, according to these texts, that Democrats have a strategy of shock to derail his 2025 comeback. He's paranoid that more women of color in Congress will start exposing similar links and leaks, and he's already pressuring conservative media to discredit her before she gains more traction. But it may be too late. Since the clip aired, Crockett's social media following has exploded. Donations to her campaign reportedly surged by 500% within 72 hours. Progressive PACs are calling her the new voice of accountability, and even moderate Democrats once skeptical of her bold style are now calling her the breakout star of 2025. Republicans, on the other hand, are scrambling. Fox News tried to pivot the story by launching an investigation into Crockett's own finances, but came up empty. MAGA influencers tried to smear her past work as a civil rights attorney, but ended up boosting her resume, and attempts to paint her as unhinged only backfired when footage emerged, showing how composed and methodical she was during the entire segment. Meanwhile, whispers in Washington suggest this might just be phase one. Sources close to the Congressional Oversight Committee say that a new subcommittee, unofficially dubbed the Crockett Coalition, is forming to investigate Trump-linked money flows from 2015 to 2023. That means the Trump team could soon face subpoenas, depositions, and even more televised confrontations. And remember, this is all happening while Trump is already juggling indictments in 4 different jurisdictions. But perhaps the most stunning development, Jasmine Crockett has reportedly been approached by top Democratic strategists about taking a more prominent national role. Some are even floating her name as a potential VP pick for 2028 or sooner, if the current ticket gets shaky. Now, this may all sound like political theater, but make no mistake, what Crockett did wasn't performance. It was a strategy, a carefully calculated unveiling of facts designed to not just embarrass Trump but to bait him into overreacting. And react he did. His online tantrum gave the clip even more oxygen. His rage-fueled statements got picked up by legacy media, and his paranoia leaked into the very machine that's supposed to protect him. Trump has always prided himself on being the master of media manipulation, but this time, he got played at his own game. Crockett didn't scream, she didn't insult, she didn't grandstand, she surgically dismantled his event. Trump's only response was fury. It's not often that a freshman congresswoman rattles a former president this hard. It's not often that a 3-minute clip can overshadow entire campaign rallies, but it happened. And now, Jasmine Crockett has become one of the most watched, most quoted, and most Googled names in American politics. The story is still unfolding. New evidence could emerge. Trump could retaliate. The GOP may escalate. But one thing is clear: Crockett changed the game. She showed that boldness, backed by evidence, cuts deeper than slogans. And she proved that even the loudest voice in politics can be silenced by a simple, fearless dose of truth. That's all for today's Decode. If you found this story wild, disturbing, or just plain shocking, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We're just getting started here at Daily Decode, where every story has layers and the truth is never what it seems on the surface. Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and stay decoded.